Hello and fuck cape shit. Welcome to another episode of Shittywebcomics Weekly, brought to you by our Subscribe Star backers. Support us and access to tons of videos on the Subscribe Star. Super exclusive, secret, the stuff that everyone else will be saying in the coming years, as previously proven. And also, it's the best way to support us in general. So donate to us if you want to know the truth, and do not donate to us if you
A lot
don't
of
want
these
to know the
videos are
truth.
very short compared to the subscribe. Somebody today was actually asking for oh, I just want to be able to have something on to listen to while I draw. And it's like, hey, do you want the best? SWC is the best.
That's true. I think you got a good point. But yeah, these videos are pretty short. Our shitty webcomics weekly episodes are pretty short in comparison to our Subscribe Star stuff, which has a
We put the
bunch of
least
deep
work into
dives
these.
and that
We
kind of thing.
put less work into our weeklies, and they're still better than everyone
And they're
else's
great.
hardcore input.
Yeah, but then again, it doesn't really take much work for our videos to be great because all it takes is us.
All we
Anyways,
have to do is exist.
yeah, that's all it takes for us. Anyways, so we are wrapping up the XKCD, sort of XKCD month, I guess. It's not really. I think it's going up around the end of October and into November. That's fine with me.
Whatever.
But yeah, so we're wrapping up the series on XKCD with this not a real XKCD comic. It's yet another parody, and just getting into it. It's like the first panel is just a couple of girls, and above it it says, "Math is the purest science there is," which I actually love off the bat because it's just like he's looking at a couple of girls and thinking, "Math is the purest science," and which is
They
something he
probably
actually
don't know
thought
that
too.
math is the purest science there is.
He's actually did a comic where he's like making fun of like physicists and all this other shit and being like the purest version of all of that though is mathematics, and basically like he's a math elitist, which is quite gay.
Yeah,
But
he was like trying to brag that such and such is just applied math. And
yeah,
it's like if you're doing something that's not applied anything, who
yeah,
cares?
fucking who gives a shit? But
What the
yeah,
fuck? What are you exactly doing?
so that's what, like, if you cut this first panel off, though, it would be kind of isolated the first panel. It would be kind of funny. It's just two girls and math is the purest science there. It's just like a complete non sequitur. But right after that, hat guy roller skates up, going, "Hello, ladies. Anyone need their honor defended against scoundrels today?" Which makes me think that's a reference to a specific comic he did that I didn't see or don't remember, in which he defends some women's honor. Either that or it's actually a reference to the Chainsaw Suit comic. I don't know. I have no idea.
That or it's just so common for these fucking people. These
Yeah.
fucking people.
This one was made around the same time as the Chainsaw Suit one, I think. So, yeah, it was around like 2011, something like that. But, anyways, the girl just says, "No, thank you." And he replies, arms in the air, going, "I have a ball pit in my living room." And then, "I have a certain childlike wonder. Experts call it autism." And then, "Does anyone want to hear a math joke?" As the girls are walking away. The last two panels are just him standing there, and the last one's him pissing himself, which,
Standing there all lonely and pathetic like.
lonely and piss. Uh, which initially, when I saw this, I thought that he's pissing himself because he's just such a sad loser. As it turns out, you may not want to know, but the reason why he's pissing himself at the end is because the artist who did this on Fur Affinity has a piss fetish. That's I fucking started following them on
Oh boy,
Fur Affinity at the time. This
that's very.
was this was over 10 years ago, after all. And I started following them because I thought this was funny, and I did have a Fur Affinity account secretly. And I check out their other stuff, and it's just all like fucking. It all has people pissing themselves. And it's like, yeah, okay, that explains that. Wow, thanks.
It still seems like the point is that you should be ashamed of it.
He certainly should, but I guess that's also part of the fetish. Apparently, I suppose.
I guess
Anyways,
that explains why furries exist too. They want to be ashamed of that too.
they should be. Maybe that's part of what the fun of the furriness is. I won't get into why I had a
Yeah,
fur
maybe
affinity account.
yeah, no. Well, I'll also say this: I've never been to Fur Affinity.
Yeah, I've been to Fur Affinity. I've been to varieties of sites and stuff,
Well, you're
and
the
that's
one
a
who
story
goes
for
to
another
find
time.
artists. You're the one who goes to look up artists, and I was also forced to admit, it's
Yeah,
like,
that's part of it.
I'm not into this
Other,
fucking fur, this fur.
I forgot to be crossing my arms this whole time. But anyways,
Oh
the
no.
um, but anyways, yeah, that is still a story for another time. It's a
Well,
little convoluted.
I'll cap that story with this: fur artists are better artists than anyone in Comicsgate.
That is true. And the thing is, yeah, I did make pals with Forge. That was fun. Forge. That was fun. And again, Forge was still a great guest on the old
I just
episodes of
got
the podcast.
I just got the achievement seeking refuge for fucking helping the 10 people at
That's
the fucking
okay.
party.
That's good. Finally, yeah, I'm hoping to have that in the next day or two for the wonderful classic game Fallout 76. Which is more embarrassing, being on Fur Affinity or enjoying Fallout 76? The Fur Affinity. That's the thing. I will also say it's important to disclaim and preface, as far as me being on Fur Affinity, I did not have much affinity for furs. In fact, that's one of the reasons why we made friends with me first, particularly. But I made friends with Forge was because he didn't really like furries himself necessarily. He was definitely into the
A lot
furry
of
thing.
furries. It's kind of like what was that other thing where it's like the greatest enemy of furries, and it's just other
Yeah,
furries.
exactly. That's what it is. It is like a lot of people probably don't know that, but yeah, there's a lot of deserved loathing in furries, and again, why I had a Fur Affinity account is something I would have to get into, and I think I did do a old Shitty Webcomics podcast episode where I talked about that. So I would just be retreading that. If you want to know more about that, you should be subscribed to our Subscribe Star. If you want to know the truth.
Stop not subscribing
Yes.
to our subscribe star.
What's wrong with you? Why aren't you subscribed to our Subscribe Star? You need to stop that. Just
Why
like this
come?
guy in the hat pissing himself. He shouldn't do that either. Are
If
you
you
gonna
don't
do that?
subscribe to our subscribe star, you're the guy in the hat.
Yes, you're pissing yourself because girls are walking away from you. You don't want girls to walk away from you while you piss yourself, so you should subscribe to our Subscribe Star.
And also, you're a furry.
Yes, exactly. You are a furry if you don't subscribe to our Subscribe Star as well. But
Which is
anyways,
for sure bad. It's kind of like being gay.
speaking of, yeah, it's sort of like being gay. You know, something's up. You just don't know what it is yet. Anyways, on a related note, though, the next comic, my favorite, I think both of our favorite XKCD comics, is the hey, check out how hard I can pee as he fucking just cannon blasts piss.
The garlic butter saw of fucking XKCD comics.
Yes. I love the garlic butter saw.
My favorite.
My favorite. Yeah, the fucking, it's just, check out our peas just blasting on the ground as the other guy's watching, and the final one is just close up. This isn't actually an XKCD comic. I mean, you can tell by the font.
You could tell. You could tell because it's actually funny.
Yeah, it's actually funny. This would, again, another example of a comic that would have been if it was an XKCD comic, it would be probably one of the best. It would be really funny. This one certainly has had more staying power than XKCD's stupid shit. In fact, I'm sure people are going to be disappointed to see that we don't cover the There's the Door comic, but I think that one's been fairly well covered and talked about how stupid it is. We should do that at some point, but that one would be short, which is fine with me. But
that one, I mean, you could just what was it, the Dick Masterson, where you cover that already?
Yeah, the fucking free speech doesn't mean freedom from consequences parrot. And yeah, That's one of my favorite. That's why I subscribed to Dick Masterson originally on YouTube, was because he did that video just saying how stupid XKCD is and how dumb that comic is, and how dumb the people are who share that comic.
I still have to fucking give him credit for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
The problem is not Dick Masterson; it's some of these people he's surrounded by.
Yeah, it's not too good. That's the thing, though, is my ego isn't attached. If somebody despises Dick Masterson, I'm like, okay.
That's actually a good example of like how some people get just so fucking angry. It's like, for the fucking woke agenda. They get so fucking pissed off. They're willing to support fucking a literal scam because it promises to own the libs.
Yeah. There's a lot of instances and examples of that.
That leads to Comicsgate and fucking Ripaverse and shit like that.
And I think this comic of the guy fucking cannon blasting piss onto the floor is even a good representation of that. Just going to the next comic, though, to wrap up, is a small series.
This comic of a guy pissing on the floor, blasting piss on the floor, better than Isom.
Yeah, yes. Well, I mean, that's a pretty fucking low bar.
Oh boy.
We're talking about one of the best comics ever, the fucking check out how hard I can piss comic, versus a comic that was only sold based on gay politics.
It's a massive insult to this fucking webcomic, right? Yes. This parody.
This treasure, this perfect treasure of a comic here.
Of fucking XKCD.
Would you pay $35 for this? I certainly would before I pay for some based N-word. With fucking ads for his wife's jewelry business. Very, very jewelry.
Very Semitic.
Very Talmudic. Anyways,
maximum Talmudic.
The wrapping up with this actual XKCD comic of a guy sitting on a bed going, "What are you doing?" And it's the girl, obviously Megan, saying, "Spinning counterclockwise, each turn robs the planet of angular momentum, slowing its spin the tiny spit, lengthening the night, pushing back the dawn, giving me a little more time here with you." And it's, again, supposed to be the romantic part of the fucking...
It's the romance of the math and romance, except for it's like, no?
Yeah, romantic, mathematical, and it's just stupid. And then here's the edit is just him thinking all the words while he's beating off on the bed. Not graphically, it just has faps. And then... This, at first I loved XKCD, then I realized with Creeping Horror that he was serious, and it's the spinning comic. Which
like on a website.
The original one was an XKCD comic saying, "At first I loved Simple Plan, then I realized with Creeping Horror that they were serious," which was, Simple Plan was the band that did How Could This Happen to Me? Which would work as a fucking, if it was like a funny parody. I gotta say, though, this screen cap of XKCD, of a desktop with a browser showing XKCD, just reminds me of the classic Windows XP days in 4:3. Well, I don't know if it was 4:3 aspect ratio, but it was before widescreens. It's like, that vintage era classic. Delightful classic.
I have no desire to go back to.
No, fucking widescreen monitors are best. And there were some other edits and stuff making fun of that spinning counterclockwise fucking stupid ass comic, but those were kind of the best ones making fun of it. This one, though, is, I think, from Something Awful. One of the last good things Something Awful ever did, that I remember anyways.
Before they shit the bed in an epic fashion.
Well, I mean, they did before this too, but I remember seeing these and thinking they were funny, and it's a parody of XKCD called LNMC, which could be...
Looked like the Chainsaw Suit. I assume this was almost like that Chainsaw Suit comic version.
Kind of, but this is much simpler in a way, but... it's just a guy saying, "So I was watching Doctor Who, and then the other guy's wearing a backwards baseball cap and goes, 'Doctor what?' And the main guy goes, 'Wait, you don't know what Doctor Who is?' And the guy in the baseball cap says, 'Duh, no.' And then the guy's suddenly just holding up a gun saying, 'Heh.' And the next panel is a tombstone that says, R.I.P. dumb jock. And it is ultimately the perfect fantasy of not only XKCD, of course, but I think more fittingly, uh,
Doctor Whovians.
well, that, but also like Dominic Deegan that did a series of comics about a dumb jock who is just brutally murdered by one of the villains, and fucking Dominic Deegan was like explaining that the girl was like she was a dancer, not a whore, as he explains to the stupid jock. And the
The
jock's like,
stupid
I
Jocker
don't,
just
whatever you stupid magic using, you don't care. And then he's fucking brutally like
doesn't
turned
respect
inside out.
women.
But the energy of like the hatred of jocks was just dripping from that whole Dominic Deegan arc. But also there was a Penny Arcade that was making like some interview with them where they were like the dumb jocks in high school, and it's like now I drive a fucking Ferrari, and it's like clearly like still bitter
Yeah,
at the
living rent
jocks.
free. This is a big part of living rent free in people's heads.
Yes.
This is true for a lot of nerds in particular, is that they never get over any of this
Yeah,
shit.
yeah, nerds are still like thin-skinned and vindictive, and they're not even necessarily smarter about
No,
the stuff
especially
that
now.
really
No,
matters.
maybe back in the day when they had to be.
There are
Not
a
so
lot
much
of yeah,
anymore.
there are a lot of nerds these days, but even back then, especially in comic book nerds are legitimately morons. They're not even smart nerds; they're just really stupid, which is always tragic to see. But it's kind of always been true in a way. And then here's the last one though,
I have sympathy
LNMC.
for anyone who gets picked on undeservedly, but some of those guys, especially nowadays, get picked on deservedly.
In a way, they retroactively deserved it for the kind of people that they became. Um,
Well, even then, some of them deserved it when they did it, when they
yes,
were what they were.
back at the time. But anyways, yeah, here's the last LNMC and the last comic that we'll cover this. But the first panel is just Guy saying, I broke up with my girlfriend today. And the second panel is uploading sad.jpg. And the last one is an unhappy face. And underneath it says, fuck you, Lisa. And this is clearly a reference to all the Megan comics that we covered in the previous parts. The classic, wonderful previous parts of this great classic series already. This is one of our best series of videos, and it's just
Really,
really an average
really,
video for us.
it's
Um,
easy fucking content too. Man, look how easy our job is.
just
Just
wonderful,
reading
delightful.
other people's comics and then describing them
We just describe
and then
them.
explaining the joke.
We're even showing some good comics, though. Some wonderful classic comics. So as far as XKCD, a lot of this does sum up my feelings about it. Although I think the best way to really sum up my feelings about XKCD was the stupid, free speech showing you the door comic.
It'd be
That
just to spit.
yeah,
I think it's the best way to say my
we'll save
feelings.
that one for the future. The future. I'll put that in the notes or something so we can cover that. But still, great series as usual. But even more greater videos on our
Even
Subscribe
more
Star.
better.
Even more better. But yeah, check out our Subscribe Star for lots more primo kino and to support us. And don't forget that all of culture is downstream from us, as proven many times in the past and will be proven again many times into the future. All the stuff we are saying right now in our videos, and especially on our Subscribe Star, where we talk about the deep lore and the hidden lore and the stuff going on in the comic scene right now that nobody else wants to talk about or admit to, or that nobody else knows about. It's all on our Subscribe Star, so if you want to check that out, it is what everyone else will be saying in the future, the same way that just a few years ago, all the stuff we were saying in those videos, now everyone else is saying too. So if you want to see the prophetic visions of the future, check out our Subscribe Star right now and donate to us also for being prophetic and saying the stuff everyone else is afraid to say. Aside
Too
from that,
honest,
though,
too brave.
yes. Aside from that, though, for everyone else, should have listened to Shitty Webcomics.